Hello and welcome to the Fawva Pinto Show, Week 9 edition. Preview of Week 9, recap of Week 8, and unfortunately, I'm going to be flying solo today because my good friend Jason Pinto isn't going to be able to make it. But I promise you I won't bore you out of your mind, or at the very least try to do my best. Jumping right into things, the good of this past week, I was really excited about all the young quarterbacks. Cam Newton, Cam Newton and Christian Ponder were squaring off, and then we have the Red Rocket, Andy Dalton. And I think anyone that watched these games, got to see how far these young quarterbacks have developed already. And I think the most surprising one would have to be Christian Ponder, just because he had I don't know if it's fair to say this among everyone, but I think in the general public he had the least recognizable name. But he's done a great job for Minnesota, and even though he hasn't put up the numbers of Cam Newton, he led them to a win, which at the end of the day I think that's what everybody's after. Cam Newton, on the other hand, continues to put up monster numbers and make big plays. Unfortunately, late in the game he gets hit by Jared Allen, he fumbles, and that was a big play in deciding the game. The third quarterback that wasn't involved in the game, Andy Dalton for the Cincinnati Bengals. And this one, even though a lot of people felt that Andy Dalton was a qualified quarterback and that he would do a good job, I don't think anyone thought he'd be good enough to lead the Bengals to a 5-2 record. And he's had the help of the defense, he's had the help of rookie wide receiver A.J. Green, but again, 5-2, the best record of any of the young quarterbacks. He's doing a great job for them, and who knows how long he can keep them in the running with the Baltimore Ravens and the Pittsburgh Steelers. Now, as for the bad this week, there's a young man by the name of Tim Tebow. And this guy, he's had a rough go of it, to say the least. Detroit Lions this past week got sacked 7 more times. What happened to you?
Well, last week we took a 45-10 butt kicking from the Lions. Let's just say I'm glad this seat's padded because it's a little sore. We got taken to the woodshed.
You look rough, man.
Well, it was a rough week.
Is the Band-Aid for style or logistical reasons?
Fingernail, man. Fingernail cut me. Fingernail cut me, but didn't cut my heart, man. I'm talking about the bad this week. Tim Tebow. It's bad. It's ugly. I've talked about how he gets it done. This Bronco fan ain't no homer. I call it as it is, man. We're 2-5. We're a bad football team. Everything's ugly. Tebow's just bad right now. He's got a 9-game trial going on. He's got that for him. I don't know if he'll make it the full 9 games physically. I don't know if he'll make it the full 9 games through confidence. It's ugly right now. We're going to play the Raiders here this weekend. Divisional game, physical game. I think Tebow's going week to week only because of health concerns, and flat out right now, he's just not an NFL quarterback. And as much as it hurts me to say, and how I wish I could get my money back, sometimes. It's ugly right now, and it's definitely bad. But we got an ugly thing coming up, and it could get bad for us. It could get worse.
It could. Now the other side of that is staying in the AFC West. Moving on to our ugly for the week. At least Tebow came in with low expectations. What if you're Phillip Rivers, who, year after year we say, this is the year the Chargers win the West. This is the year. And it never happens. Right? It just doesn't happen. Then, well, I shouldn't say it. They've won the West in the past, but they've done nothing in the playoffs. But this is the year, they make the run. They make the run this year. They're talented. They're always talented. Well, in Kansas City, against my Chiefs, and just for the record, since I started wearing this headdress, they're undefeated. Just saying. As much as Now, don't get me wrong, the Chiefs played a pretty good football game on the defensive side of the ball. They did a lot of good things. Brandon Flowers, Derek Johnson, and Tom Bahali were all outstanding. I think a lot of people that didn't know who Tamba Hali was before, or didn't realize how good he was, they got to see the effect he has on a game. Even when he's not getting the sacks, he's getting held, he's creating false starts. He does a lot of different things for that defense. But with all that said, not to take anything away from the Chiefs, they did some nice things. You have a minute left in the game. You have to run one more play and do one of two things. You hand it off up the middle to get the ball centered, or you snap the ball and you even knee on it in the middle of the field just to set up the game-winning field goal from around 30 yards. A chip shot in the NFL. Now what happens? Phillip Rivers fumbles the snap. Now, and it gets better for me. Nobody talked about this, but 3 Chargers fell on top of it, and Andy Studebaker jumps over top of them and somehow rips it away from all of them. Now, obviously as a fan, I was on the phone with my girlfriend at the time, and I said to her, I said, well, here, the game's over. I don't even know why I'm watching this. And I said, the Chargers are going to kneel on it and kick the field goal. And, of course, that's when the fumble happened. I thought there was no way the Chiefs recovered. Studebaker gets it. The rest is history. The Chargers get the ball in overtime, but Tamba Hali gets a big sack. Matt Castle pulls his Jekyll and Hyde move. Looks great in the overtime. Moves the team right down the field to kick the game-winning field goal. Phillip Rivers, he's got to straighten up his act. 2 more interceptions, another fumble. He's just got to play better.
He's just ugly right now. That was a good, bad, and ugly. We're going to get into a rant for the week. This week, our rant is a good rant. There's always a bad rant. There's always a good rant. This week, we're talking about the St. Louis Rams. I'm talking playing the New Orleans Saints. The New Orleans Saints. Drew Brees led New Orleans Saints. The Rams got after it. They sent pressure all day. Brees, he was uncomfortable in the pocket. They were getting pressure. Chris Long, those guys were coming off the edges, getting sacks. Colson did nothing. Sproles got his here and there, but in a tough matchup there for the Rams, they came out with a victory. Good for them. Steve Spagnuolo could have been on the hot seat. I really think that the Saints, it's a little underrated, maybe it's a stretch, but the Saints really do miss Sean Payton on the sideline. I think that that's huge. I think there's coaches that coach from the booth and there's coaches that coach from the field. And when you go to the booth or you go to the field, vice versa, it's a big transition. And Sean Payton has his hands so much on that offense. I just really think that the struggles of the Saints has a little bit to do with that. But give credit to the Rams. They got after it. Just when you thought they were dead, just when you thought they were staring at the 49ers for the rest of the year, the Rams have a bright spot to look forward to. Steven Jackson, feed that beast. That cat can play. He had a great game. Give him the rock. Keep feeding it to him. They played with excellent intensity. Maybe it was because the Cardinals got there. I hate baseball, but somehow they got a lift from that. I thought it was a great win. I think that the Rams, they got a long way to go, but the pieces are in place. They got the young quarterback. Brandon Lloyd was a nice addition. I think you keep with Jay Philly one more week if Sam Bradford's iffy. I'm afraid to put Bradford back out there.
What was Jay Philly?
Excuse me, what did I say?
Jay
Philly. He's the kicker.
Yeah.
AJ Philly, excuse me. AJ Philly. You put him back out there, get him one more week. Bradford will come back in another week. You look for 2012 for the Rams.
And from a Rams fan's perspective, when Steve Spagnuolo starts AJ Philly, they're undefeated.
They are.
Just saying. Just throwing it out there. And he's more of a game manager than a playmaker, but maybe that's what the Rams need right now. Now, I will say this. I do want to see what Sam Bradford can do with Brandon Lloyd, because Sam Bradford hasn't had a legit #1 receiver to throw to. I think that'll help him out a lot. And from the New Orleans perspective, hey, you just came off a week where you scored over 60 points, and it's human nature, man, to have that type of focus 2 weeks in a row is difficult. It just goes to show how good every team in the NFL is. Even the supposedly hapless Rams can beat you if you don't show up. But enough with Week 8. On to Week 9. And hey,
we got some good games.
We have some real good games. I think we have a combination of some shootouts, some great defensive battles. First one on the ticket. What are you thinking about Green Bay at San Diego?
Well, fantasy football side, I hope Green Bay lights it up because I got my man Rodgers and Greg Jennings. Throw that out the window. I'm talking real ball. I'm talking 60 minutes. I'm talking Green Bay and San Diego. I think San Diego, Phillip Rivers struggling, fumbling that ball against the Chiefs on Monday Night Football, showing people that big spots, hey, maybe the Chargers just don't get it done. I like Green Bay not because I'm a Charger hater, but because Green Bay is just a better team. I like Green Bay's defensive line. I like I like Raji versus Hardwick. It's going to be a great matchup to watch all night long. But I really, really like the ability of the Packers to spread out the Chargers. They're going to roll James Jones, Jennings, Finley, Jordy Nelson, Vilnis goes on, Randall Cobb. I really like them spreading the Chargers out. I like a shootout. Both teams are going to score some points, but too much pack, man, too much pack. I like them by a good 2 touchdowns.
Definitely. Our next game on the ticket, Baltimore at Pittsburgh. Terrell Suggs says he owns Ben Roethlisberger's posterior. He's pretty excited to play. And you know what? I like what the Steelers have done. They're airing it out more. That fits them more now. The only problem I see with trying to do that against the Ravens, even when the Steelers' offensive line is 100% healthy, it's not one of the better offensive lines in the NFL. And right now, they're still beat up. They're better than in the beginning of the year. But I just don't think they can protect Ben enough to throw the ball down the field. And I think the Ravens come out of this game, I think they're going to win only by a touchdown, maybe even 3 points if the Steelers can make some plays on defense. But here's a stat. The Steelers are dead last in the NFL forcing turnovers. The Ravens have forced 16 turnovers. The Steelers are dead last in turnover ratio at -10. And in games like these, turnovers are epic. And I think that's why the Ravens win.
All right, moving on. We're going Eagles-Bear rapid fire here. Monday Night Football. EAGLES. Eagles are coming back. LaShawn McCoy out of Bishop McDivitt, Harrisburg kid. I love this kid. I'm so pissed that we passed on him in the draft. Anyways, oh yeah, they're also playing Jay Crybaby Cutler. I want to see Trent Cole. I want to see Brandon Graham and anybody else sack Jay Cutler. I don't like this matchup for the Bears. The Eagles are starting to get it going, I like Vic in a bounce-back game to light it up even more than they did last week. I really like the Eagles. I think they're getting the ball rolling. Eagles by 10.
Nice. And our next game, Giants at Patriots. I don't know which Giants team's going to show up. They struggled against the Dolphins. They lost to the Seahawks, which should be impossible. And, you know, but yet they've played some good games this year. They made the Eagles look very average. I think the Patriots will win this game, but I think a big part of it is how beat up the Giants are in the secondary. The Giants will get some hits on Brady. Manning will have a big game against the Patriots defense. Everyone saw how bad it was against the Steelers, but I'm taking the Patriots just because it's in New England. They don't lose there very often. They're going to win by 10.
Last game of the week, we're going to the Meadowlands Stadium, beautiful stadium, Bills and Jets. Jeff, I must ask you a question. Do you like Ryan Fitzpatrick's deal?
I like his beard because he looks like Zach Galifianakis.
I like Sanchez and the Jets, however, the Bills got something going. Sanchez and that offense are anemic. They're not as bad as my Broncos offense, but hey, let's cool off the USC quarterback. This kid is definitely struggling in his 3rd year. I don't like the Jets matchup. I know they're coming off of, a bye? They come off a bye?
Yes.
Yeah, they're coming off a bye, so they had some time. Rex Ryan's still talking. He's still running that mouth. But the Bills, I really like Stevie Johnson. Freddie Jackson, he needs to be mentioned with the big-time running backs in this league. I know he's only older, but the dude is just flat out hitting the ground running. He's hitting the hole. They're getting good play. Fitzpatrick, it's nice to see that they invested the money in him. They got their franchise quarterback, knowing from here on they can move forward and add the skill positions. I really like the Bills in this one. And a close one. Big Toronto win last week. Bills by field goal.
There you have it. Recap of Week 8, predictions for Week 9. The Chiefs are going to win again this week and go to 5-3.
The Broncos are going to let 60-some points. Yeah, Tebow, 10 of 36, 1 touchdown, 4 fumbles, 2 interceptions. Tune in next week, kids. My buckets.